Hi, first graders. Today we're going to begin our first lesson from topic 14. And today we're going to be using attributes to define two-dimensional shapes. If you take a look at our solve and share, it's asking you to think about the shapes below and draw an object from your classroom. Although since we're not in school, you can think of an object from around your house that matches each shape. Try to find something that's a square, a circle, triangle, rectangle, and hexagon. Go ahead and pause the video. You can take your packet and go look around. Try and find something that matches each shape. Now let's take a look at some examples. Here I have Kenya's work. Kenya found windows for her squares. She found a clock that matches the circle shape. The point of her pencil is a triangle. The chalkboard is a rectangle. And one of the tables in the classroom was a hexagon. What shapes did you find? Let's take a look now at our visual learning about shapes. Two-dimensional or 2D shapes are plane shapes, flat shapes. Look at these 2D shapes. We have a triangle in green, a circle in red, a rectangle in blue, and a square in orange. What do these shapes have in common? How are these shapes similar? One thing these shapes have in common is that they are all flat. Is a baseball a 2D shape? Hmm, what do you think? Why or why not? No, a baseball is not a 2D shape because it is not flat. 2D means that it is flat. You can define 2D shapes by how they look. Some 2D shapes have straight sides and some 2D shapes do not. If you look at the triangle, trace it with your finger. How would you describe the sides of the triangle? Are they straight? The sides of the triangle are straight lines. A triangle has three straight sides. Which 2D shapes have four sides? Can you find a 2D shape with four sides? The square in orange and the rectangle in blue each have four sides. What is the name for a 2D shape that has no straight sides? Can you find a shape that has no straight sides? A circle has zero straight sides. The circle is round. Some 2D shapes have corners called vertices, and some 2D shapes do not. A vertice is where the two straight sides come together in a point or corner. So if you look at the triangle, the yellow circles represent where the vertices are. Notice the circle does not have any because there are no straight sides. The rectangle has vertices. The square has vertices where the sides meet in a corner. A triangle has three vertices. If we count them, we see 1, 2, 3. If you look at the circle, think about how many vertices you see here. What about the rectangle? How many vertices? Remember, you're counting the corners when we're counting the vertices. One corner is a vertex. If there's more than one, we say vertices. How many do you see on the square? Our square in orange and our rectangle each have four vertices or corners. What is the name for a 2D shape that has no vertices? Can you find a shape on this page that has no corners? A circle has zero vertices. The circle is completely round. There are no corners. If you look at this figure and trace it with your finger, how is tracing this figure different from tracing the triangle? It looks similar to the triangle, but how is it different? When you trace to this shape, your finger does not come back to the place where it started. 2D shapes are closed, like the triangle, circle, rectangle, and square below. How can you tell if a 2D shape is closed? One way you can tell is to trace it with your finger. I'll trace them below with the pointer. If we trace around the triangle, we return back to where we started. If I start at the circle and go around, I can trace back to where I started. Same thing with my rectangle. If I start in this corner and I trace around, I can go back to where I started. And same with the square. I trace around the square, I go back to where I started. The shape above is not a triangle because it is not a closed shape with three sides. If I start at the top here and I trace around, I cannot return to where I started because there is a large opening or space here. It is not a closed shape. Now we'll get ready for our work in our guided practice. Take a look at your Do You Understand Show Me box. It says, look at the green triangle above. So I'm looking up here at my triangle. How would I define the shape by its look? If I think about my triangle, I'm going to think of two of the vocabulary words we learned in our visual learning. I want to think first about the sides and then about the vertices. So if I wanted to describe my triangle, I would first think about the sides. And when I count the sides of my triangle, I count 1, 2, 3. There are 3 straight sides. So the triangle has 3 sides. I can also think about the vertices. Remember, a vertice is a point. So when two sides come together to make a point, if I look at my green triangle, I can count that it has 1, 2, 3 corners, where the sides meet in a point to make a corner. So to describe a triangle, I would say the triangle has 3 vertices. 3 sides and 3 vertices. Let's take a look at number 1. For each shape, we're going to tell first how many straight sides or vertices it has, depending on what the question asks, and then we will answer yes or no if it is a closed shape. So number 1 says, how many straight sides? So if I count my sides, I count 1, 2, 3, 4. This shape has 4 sides. Is it a closed shape? Yes. When I trace my shape, I'm able to return back to where I started. There is no opening or space in this blue shape. Number 2 is asking how many vertices on the purple shape. Remember, vertices are corners where two sides meet. So if I count my vertices, I see 1 here, corner where these two sides meet. I see 1 here, a second corner where these two sides meet. So this shape has 2 vertices. Is it a closed shape? Think your answer. Say your answer. No, this is not a closed shape. If I start here and trace around my shape, I do not return to where I started. There's an opening here or a space between the sides. Number 3, how many straight sides on this green hexagon? Let's count them together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The hexagon has 6 sides. Is this a closed shape? Think your answer. Say your answer. Yes. If we trace the hexagon, we return to our starting point. There are no spaces or openings in this shape. Now it's your turn. You will complete your independent practice, practicing counting sides and vertices, and deciding if shapes are closed shapes. And then you'll use what you've learned about shapes to work on your problem solving. Good luck, and I'll see you again soon. Thanks for listening.